Welcome to Polyend Tracker tutorial number 2, where by doing a small project you'll master the tracker. I've prepared a download for us to work with that can be found on my Patreon. However, you can use your own samples and still learn a lot. Now, in the first installment, it was a beginner introduction, and so I didn't get into some of the deeper functions of swing, song mode, slide portamento using the delay to achieve stereo width. And in the third tutorial, which is coming up, I'll be discussing wavetable and granular. So be sure and subscribe. Then click the bell and choose all. So this time I picked a song with an incredibly high amount of swing and other things to demonstrate the concepts. I picked Boards of Canada Sequoia. And so let's take a look at how that's made in the tracker. Yeah, that just sounds wrong without swing. So we'll get into what swing is and how we're able to do swing in here quite easily. So let me gradually turn up the swing. So that's about right, but we can go more extreme. But we better back up and start at step 1. Now, just like the last one we did, project number 1, you're going to take your SD card out of there and open it in your computer, and you'll put the project in the projects file on the SD card, and you'll put the samples in the samples folder. As we get started here, you'll want to set the master volume. Just hold down master and then use this dial here to change it and make it, if you're wearing headphones, you want to set it a lot lower. Right here at 0 dB is good if you're using the line out. Then you want to hold down song and use the dial again to set the tempo, which you see right there. It's 85 BPM for this project. The Polyend tracker makes no sounds of its own, so you have to load the samples in first. So we go to sample loader and go down to samples. This is if you want to go through the project and learn how to do all these things and assemble it yourself. If you just want to have the project and examine it, then you'd go to projects, enter, and you'll see the project in there. But if you want to assemble this from scratch and learn how to do all this stuff, you'll load the samples and turn them into instruments. So you'll hit enter there on samples. Then you'll go to the Sequoia project, and there are the samples. So we'll highlight this with a red box, and that's kind of how this OS works. And let's start with bass in the list here and hit add next. And what that means is it'll add to the next one highlighted over here on the right. So you have to keep moving this one down. So you'll go to the blip, add next, the crash, add next, the hat, kick, skip the lead here, go to the snare, add next, tambourine, add next, so that it ends up at 7. Tap, add next. You end up not using that tap, but now go to lead and add next. And then go up to lead 2, add next, and to flute, add next. So it seems like I had you add a few of them out of order, and that's because of the way I assembled the project. It just ended up that way. So as long as your list here of instruments are on the same numbers that I have, then when I discuss, number 10 is lead 2, then you'll have your list the same as mine. So starting here with the bass, we have to turn the bass into a playable instrument, of course. So you'll go to sample playback, and we're going to play it as a one shot. The blip playing as a one shot under instrument parameters. We're going to pan that to 25. And we're going to turn the reverb send all the way up. So where is this reverb being sent to? It's being sent to the master on master 1/3, page 1 of 3. That you can hit reverb and you can adjust the settings here. So I've got a size of 74, damping 0, pre-delay 50, diffusion 80. And while we're here, we do use the delay on some things to make it sound more stereo. So we've got the ping pong on and the sync off. And we're going with the time of 11 milliseconds, a lot of feedback of 70. Now the crash, playing that as a beat slice. The hat as a beat slice. The kick as a beat slice, but the kick is actually, I don't know if you can hear in the original song, it's kind of a double kick. It's like a ghost kick and then another kick. What we've got here is a double kick sample. And so you're going to hold down shift and you're going to choose 2 slices and then you're going to hit equal slice. And it's going to slice it into 2 parts. And then you can adjust it by hitting zoom, click adjust, and then you get it right to the division between those 2 samples. And so we're going to put those as hits separately. And so when this massive swing gets put on this thing, it's going to swing those 2 samples, where if we played them, just played this sample, they're not swung. Now the kick, if you listen to the original, it is panned with some type of a stereo width, Haas effect or whatever. And so this is one that we're using. If you go to instrument parameters and hit effects, we're turning the delay send all the way up. And also on the snare, when we go to sample loader, go down to snare, playing that back as a beat slice, and then we're going instrument parameters, effects. It also has the delay send all the way up. Tambourine is actually 4 tambourine shakes. We got to make this sound swung, right? The whole thing has this massive swing on it. So you're going to hold down shift. You're going to divide this one into 4 equal slices. So right here you want to set that on 4 and then hit equal slice. It will divide it into 4 equal slices. Tap sound, it is a beat slice. The lead, it's a 1 shot. Now this one's going to be panned the other direction. Again, listening to the original with headphones, you can hear those 2 types of lead sounds being panned, one left and one right. Now lead 2 is that main lead with tons of reverb on it that you hear, and it's being played as a 1 shot. But if you go here under effects, you'll see the reverb send all the way up. And then the flute that's kind of playing random sounding notes in the original, played as a 1 shot, and it has a touch of reverb about halfway up. So that's where we are on the setup of the instruments. Now we'll go on to pattern. Hit pattern twice and you can get to this view here where you're viewing 4 of them together. And we can start out by talking about the kick and snare track. So if you hold down shift, we could just mute these other tracks. In addition to that, you'll find mute and solo under the master here by hitting, well, first let's unmute everything, and then if you hold down shift, you'll see solos for everything. Now you'll note that I've labeled this track. And the way I did that was by going under master page 2 of 3 right there. And if you hit record while you're in there and hit this button right here, edit, then you have a little typing keyboard. You can type kick and snare in there and hit save. Again, like we talked about in the first tutorial, what these numbers mean here. You have C5, which is not really relevant because this is a beat slice, and beat slice is used more non-chromatically. It's just used as slicing it up, and it puts the beats on these silicone buttons here. Then you have the instrument. That is crucial, and it's telling us that it's number 5. So look up here on this list of instruments here, and I see that that's the kick there. Now I'm using the nice safe green cursor, but you're going to want to hit record and you get a red cursor. A red cursor means that you're changing these individual steps. So you're going to want to put the kick there. And then you go down to 5 and it says 6 there. So hold down instrument and you see number 6 is the snare. Now here we have a double kick. You see one of those ghost kicks and then the loud kick on 9 where it starts the new bar. And so there are 2 slices to that. So what this information here is saying, play instrument 5 and play slice 1. And the second one says play instrument 5 slice 2. So remember, we sliced that kick up into like a ghost slice, and then the second one was louder. So here the ghost falls on the last beat of the first measure. Then we start a new measure at 9 and you have the loud one. So you'll be using the pink button and you'll choose slice. Then you can just, if you have it highlighted there in red, you can just rotate and choose the different slices. There's only 2, so that'll be 1 and then 2 on step 9. Then step 13, we have instrument 6, which is the snare. Then you're back to the kick again, playing the ghost slice and then the louder slice at the start of the new measure there on 17. Snare, same thing with the 2 kicks, snare and slice 1, which is the ghost one. Now we've reached the final lane of the 4 lanes of this one track here. And this last lane here contains an effect. It's called micro move, and that's how we get swing. So swing is simply moving every even step forward in time. So I'll show you the easy way to enter those. And this is done on a per track basis. So it does have to occupy an FX lane of every one of your tracks. So possibly in some future update, they'll give us a global swing, thus freeing up that effect lane. But there's another way to accomplish swing just using one lane of one track and not using it anywhere else. Though it's less exacting and you have to play with it more to get it right, it can certainly be accomplished by overriding the global tempo on only one track. And I'll show you how to do that too. But let me show you quickly here how to enter this as quickly as possible. So if we're up here at step 1, we can hit shift up and select that whole lane there. Let me just delete that out of there. Okay, so the way this thing I'm about to show you works, it skips every step. So you saw that the way swing works is that every even step is moved forward in time, and that creates the swing. So it starts on the first even step, and then we're just going to skip steps. So hold down shift. We go down to the final step there. Now hit fill. And you want to fill each. You want to change this where it's a step right here to 2. And that's going to make it skip steps. And then the effect that we choose is micro move. Just moving the even steps forward in time. Constant. And with an FX value of 30, which I thought was pretty good to approximate what they were using in Sequoia. Then hit fill, and you'll see, hit shift home, go back to the top there. You'll see every even step now has the micro move, moving the even steps forward in time. Now I said I was going to tell you the other method. So this only has to be done. This one here is a per track basis. So you can swing one track and choose not to swing another track. But there is a way to swing it using only one effects lane of one track, and it swings the entire project because it's really overriding the global tempo is what it's doing. So the way we do that, we hit shift up, go to fill. This time we're going to use the tempo effect. In this case, when we're overriding the global tempo, we probably want to lower the tempo of the odd steps and raise the tempo of the even steps. That makes our odd steps play slowly and our even steps play quickly. So the tempo of this was 85. So let's make this 65. Now it won't let you do a 5. It only lets you do even values, so you could do 64. Go to step 2, fill. Make sure this is on step, taking 2 steps at a time. And now on these even steps, we're going to add 20 to our base tempo, which was 85. So we're going to make it 105. It won't let you do 5, so we'll do 104. Now we have a tempo that's overriding the global tempo. Now, the disadvantage to this is you're guessing on the tempo. And you can listen to the original Sequoia song and you can probably get it right on but you have to listen to it and test it out and stuff. So if I hit shift up, you can select the whole thing, and you see as I go up and down in tempo, it retains that increment. So it does retain the swing and changes the tempo. It's not an adjustable swing in this case, like I was doing before when I was showing using the M's to adjust the tempo. When I was showing the micro moves earlier to change the swing, you saw that was completely adjustable from 0 all the way up to crazy swing. But that's not what's happening here. What we're adjusting here is the tempo, though it does retain the swing that I chose for it. So this is going to be more of something where you have to test out different swings, starting with your base tempo, and you can maybe add 30 to the base and subtract 30 from the base and that type of thing. So you'd have more swing then. And you'd also have to experiment with the tempo to try to get it right. Whereas the micro move is just the easiest way to do with no calculations made. If you want to, you can label this track hat and tambourine, because in pattern 1 it's the hat, and in other patterns it's the tambourine. And so the first hat, you've got 5, 6, and 7 as a hat, 9. And let me just show you how to copy these down. Hats are usually pretty regularized, so you can sometimes do them using the fill command that I had talked about before, depending on where they are. But here they're not regularized enough to fill it in, but you can go measure by measure though. Once you get one measure filled in, you can hold down shift and use the down arrow to select the first measure, which would be 1 through 8. And then you can hit the copy button here and go down to step 9, which is the beginning of measure 2. Hold down shift and hit paste, and it pastes it down to the beginning of measure 3, which is right here at 17. You can go ahead and just hit shift paste right there. Now you're at 25. Shift paste, and you're back at the beginning, and you've got your hats in. And of course you can hear it has swing on there, and I've already discussed that. Gonna hold down shift and go over to track 3. You can label that blip. It's a synthesizer sound, that one we had earlier panned when we were creating it. And because it's a synth, the note that it's played on is important. So the first one is F sharp 4, and then E5 on 2, C sharp 5 on 4, G sharp 4 on 7, D5 on 12, C sharp 5 on 15, F sharp 4 on 17, E5 on 18, C sharp 5 on 20, F sharp 4 on 23, D5 on 28, and C sharp 5 on 21. And you get this. That's all there is to pattern 1. So if we unmute those first 3 tracks there, we should have pattern 1. Okay, so hold down the pattern button and go to pattern 2. Pattern 2 uses the same kick and snare and blip also. So the way we get pattern 1's data from the kick and snare and the blip sound over to pattern 2, probably the quickest way is go over here to pattern 1, hold this down and go to pattern 1 and hit the more button and just hit copy pattern. Then hit the more again so he goes back to the old menu, hold down pattern and go to pattern 2, and there hit more and paste pattern. Track 2 is going to change to the tambourine. I'm going to go hold down shift and press up there, and I'm going to delete that out. So now we've just got the kick and snare from track 1 and the blip from track 1. So we're going to work on the tambourine now. So it's instrument number 7, which is the tambourine. We set up as the tambourine. Note doesn't matter, so we'll stay over there in instrument. But we're going to have to add some slices because we're going to have to play those different slices of the tambourine so it sounds more like you're shaking it. So on step 1, 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, we've got the tambourine. Then you want to go back and you want to use the purplish button and you choose slice. And so you want slice 1 for the first one, second one and third one, and fourth one, fifth one. But when you get to the 6th one, which is on line 10, you want slice 2. So rotate the dial there, choose slice 2, slice 3, slice 4, and then on 13, back to slice 1, slice 2, slice 3. Now we've reached step 16. So we're done with 1 through 16, and we can simply repeat that. Let's give that a listen. See, that's got that sound where you're hitting it on your hand and then a little shake in between. Now to the bass. F sharp 4 on step 1, F sharp 4, step 4, E5, step 5, F sharp 5, step 6, C sharp 5, step 7, A5, step 8, G sharp 5 on step 9, and E5 on step 10. Then a B4 on step 12, E5 on 13, F sharp 5, 14, B4 on step 15, and an A5 on step 16. G sharp 4, step 17, G sharp 4, step 20, B4, step 23, G sharp 5, step 25, E5, step 26, B4, step 28, E5 on 29, F sharp 5 on 30, C sharp 5, 31, F sharp 5 on 32, F sharp 4 on 33. Then an F sharp 4 on 37, E5 on F sharp 4 36, E5 37, F sharp 5 38, C sharp 5 39, A5 on 40, G sharp 5 on 41, E5 on 42, B4 on 44, E5 on 45, F sharp 5 46, B4 on 47, A5 on 48, G sharp 4 on 49, G sharp 4 on 52, B4 on 54, B4 on 55, E5 on 56, G sharp 5 on 57, F sharp 5 on 58, F sharp 4 on 60, F sharp 5 61, G sharp 5 on 62, C sharp 5 on 63, F sharp 5 on 64. Don't forget to put the swing on there, and let's listen to it. Yeah, you could have used cut and paste there, I guess, halfway through, but it has a different ending the second time through. So, you know, you would have had to take that into account. So I figured you might as well just enter those steps. And then we have the first lead of the lead instruments, which has that type of sound to it. And that is instrument 9. And so we've got an E5 on step 1, C sharp 5 step 3, a B4 on 6, F sharp 5 on 9, C sharp 5 on 11, B4 on 14, A4 on 16, B4 on 17, C sharp 5 on 19, G sharp 4 on 22, F sharp 4 on 25, E4 on 28, F sharp 4 on 30, E5 on 33, C sharp 5 on 35, B4 on 38, F sharp 5 on 41, C sharp 5 on 43, B4 on 46, A4 on 48, B4 on 49, C sharp 5 on 51, G sharp 4 on 54, F sharp 4 on 57, E4 on 60, F sharp 4 on 62. So the track 4 was the bass, track 5 is, you could label it lead. Track 6, you can go ahead and label it lead 2, but we're not working with track 6 until pattern 3. And then track 7, label that crash. And track 8 will be the flute if you want to go ahead and label that while you're over there. But track 7, the crash, is in pattern 2, so we need to enter that. Instrument 3 on step 1. 17, 33, and 49. So at the beginning of every new measure, you're going to have the crash. Pattern 3 is exactly like pattern 2. So you can use that more function again and copy the pattern and then paste the pattern 2 into pattern 3. And then there's only a few notes difference, and it was that lead 2 that you heard was getting started there. And I hold down shift and select that region right there. I should be able to preview that. So at the end of this pattern, that gets started and goes into the next pattern. But here's something that new to talk about here, and that is the effect that you see there on the pink button. If we hold that down, we can see that it's glide. So for these steps that are the lead, they're going to have some glide to them. So this is the glide portamento I said I was going to talk about. Now it's only a glide of 1, but in the tracker that seems to be a lot of glide. Moving on to pattern 4. I think you see what's going on here. We've got the hats from track 1. that you have to go back and paste in there. Kick and snare haven't changed. You can use those from any of the other patterns. Now there's no blip, so that's gone away. And then we've got the same bass line and no lead. We've got lead 2, no crash, and we're adding a couple of tracks to this now. We've got the lead that we were leading into in pattern 3. Now we've got the fully developed lead here. Let's just listen to that. Sorry, it's lead 2. So let's give that a listen. You can hear the portamento. Okay, so let's go through the notes that are played there. It's instrument 10, and you got a B4 on step 1, D sharp 5 on 11, E5 on 13, B4 on 15, F sharp 4 on 17, G sharp 4 on 33, A4 on 35, B4 on 37, C sharp 5 on 43, D5 on 50, C sharp 5 on 51, F sharp 4 on 33, F sharp 4 on 53, G sharp 5 on 59, A5 on 61, and E5 on 63. Of course, you need the glide in there. Oh, I guess I put a glide of 2 on that one. And you need the swing on there. And then we add the flute to this track. For the first time, we're hearing the flute in pattern 4. Step 20, C sharp 5, 21, B5, and F sharp 5 on step 22, C sharp 5 on step 24, F sharp 5 on 27, C sharp 5 on 28, F sharp 5, C sharp 5, F sharp 5, B5, F sharp 5, C sharp 5, D5, C sharp 5 on step 36, D5 on step 38, B5, F sharp 5, and then an E5 on step 44, G sharp 5, F sharp 5, an E5 on 47, G sharp 5, F sharp 5, and E5 on 51, F sharp 5, G sharp 5, and E5 on 58, B5, F sharp 5, and here's what you get. There it goes. So in the original song, it sounds more random sounding, and I guess we could use the micro move to move that around and give it more of that sound if you want to go to that extent. And so pattern 5, I've just made it the blip track alone, and the reason I did that was to use that for a sort of a fade out at the end of my song. And so now, having all of the tracks done in all 5 patterns, we move on to song mode. So we hit song. Okay, the way this works is pretty simple. It just plays down your patterns. And you can see your 8 tracks there, and they're all named. And so I happen to know that this is 12 patterns long that I want to do this, so I can go ahead and add those slots until I've got 12. And so the slots are numbered there, so I've got 12 slots. So you can see the red cursor there. The timeline travels downward. So we want to start out with pattern 1, and so see it says pattern there and has arrows, so can change that by doing that. So we can start out with pattern 1, and pattern 1 did consist of the kick and snare track, the hat track, and the blip, right? And so let's play that twice. So move the cursor down 1 and then play pattern 1 again. So it's going to play pattern 1 twice. Then we'll play we'll move that cursor down and we'll play pattern 2 once. And we can audition that, the one we're on there, by hitting play pattern. Let's go down one and we'll play pattern 3 there. Now pattern 3 was the one where you can see what's happening here. If you look on lead 2 track, you can see that our first entry in lead of the lead was there, and that's the pattern that ends with that lead beginning, and which takes you into the next pattern. So move the cursor down. Now we're playing pattern 4 times in a row. Now we're thinking of our outro. We'll go back to pattern 2, back to pattern 1, and then that pattern we made, that extra pattern 5, where we just played the blip sound all by itself. I should mention that you can delete certain slots, but if you do, it applies to all of that pattern. So for instance, let's say I wanted to get rid of the blip right here. You can see the cursor right there under blip. I could hit delete, and it does remove that, but it also removes it from every pattern 1. And now go back to the top, and now we can play the whole song. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope this helps you out. Tutorial 3 will be next, covering wavetables and granular and a few other things I haven't touched on. I'll see you in that video.